everyone. Today we are having our second product management night hosted in Sofia, and as I already mentioned, will be visible in plenty of countries as the registered people for today's event were not only from Bulgaria but also from different. My name is Anna Kermakchieva. I'm product manager in SoftServe, and I'm also product management ambassador. And together with my colleagues, we are organizing those events, the PMNights events, together with the support of PMC community. Okay. Sorry, just a second. So today's schedule, how our event will go. We will have very short intro, about 5 minutes, for the communities, and after that we will welcome our speaker Timo Wagenblatt, who will talk how to handle and what are the expected changes that will come to the product management after this health crisis, which nobody expected. At the end of the session, we will have time for questions and answers. We have some preliminary sent questions from some of the people while they were registering, so we'll try to go through as many of them as well. A few words about the communities which are hosting today's event. The PMNight community is part of the Product Management Festival, and the things the Product Management Festival are organizing, first of all, is the PM report, which is annual report, which is based on the survey, on international survey sent to plenty of product people. This year, survey will be published shortly. In those surveys, by the way, if you're interested, please go to the productmanagementfestival.com and you can download the previous surveys and the previous reports and the last one, which will shortly be introduced. Basically, it describes the product management position in the different industries, the role of the product managers, the main challenges that the product people are facing during their time. It's quite an extensive report, and I encourage you to go and review it. The Product Management Executive Program is one of the other programs which Product Management Festival is organizing. This is the advanced program which is created in partnership with INSEAD. It is a program that gives product management leaders such as VP of product, head of product, CPOs to extend their leadership skills. Also, it is very good. It's, by the way, 5 days extended program for people who are switching from product management to executive positions, because the program is aiming in developing their leadership skills. The Product Management Festival has 2 annual conferences, one in Zurich, one in Singapore. Unfortunately, this year's conference in Singapore was cancelled due to the coronavirus situation, but we still hope that the event, which is planned for November in Zurich, will be held. So for now, we also hope that we'll see some of you there as well. The PM nights, those are the informal events which we are organizing together with local ambassadors as me. Those are informal meetings for knowledge and experience sharing. If any of you is interested in sharing his or her experience or your company experience in product management, please get in touch with me. At the end of this very short presentation, you will see my LinkedIn profile. We'll be very happy to host new companies with interesting product management experience. And the last one is the exec circles. Basically, those are events which are with invitation only, where top product management people are discussing different ideas, strategies, etc. And the PMC, the other community which is co-organizing today's event, and the PMNights in Sofia in particular. The PMC is a community powered by SoftServe, which is focused on conferences and meetups development. Right now, of course, in the current situation, we are very much focused on the webinars and the online trainings as well. My colleague have one very interesting project, which is called Product Garage. It's a project which is podcast based. And we also organize product workshops and hackathons. As I mentioned, for now, we truly hope that the event in Zurich will stay. It will be held on 11th and 12th of November. And if any of you are interested, please go to the Product Management Festival website, and you can purchase with the code discount/PMNights code. You can receive 20% discount from the price of the ticket. And the final thing, we are very happy to welcome today Timo Wagenblatt, who is the VP product in SAP, who will talk about how to deal with the impact of the COVID-19 crisis in product management. Timo has quite extensive experience in product management. You will see that in a few minutes. We really would like to thank him that he embraced our proposition to participate and to contribute to Sofia community. So that's all from me. My name is Anna. As I said, if any one of you is interested in organizing event together with us, PMNights event, please contact me on LinkedIn. We'll be very happy to assist you. And I really would like to welcome Timo, and once again to thank him for agreeing to participate on our event.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for inviting me as well. Let me share my screen. And please let me know if you can see it. And which one you see? Let me see.
Yep.
And now one last thing. Now it should be good to go.
Oh, good. Yep.
So as I said, thank you very much for inviting me, and please also, if you have questions, please raise them in the chat window, or we can also talk about it then afterwards.
Sorry for that, I forgot to mention, we agreed with Timo that if you have any questions, please write them down in the chat section. During the presentation at the end of each chapter, Timo will answer those questions, or if you have something urgent, please raise a hand and we'll figure out how to answer the questions.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. So when I've thought about what should I actually present, it's an interesting title, but just talking about product management on its own, it's already quite diverse. And now having the impact of COVID-19, I thought I have to go to very standard agenda. So first of all, let's define some context, because as we know in product, context matters obviously for everything we do. Second part is, as we know the context, let's do some analysis, and actually I call it analysis of everything, and I explain in a second what this means. And last but not least, if we have done the analysis, so what are potential actions and how can we use our bag of tricks, our skills that we have as product people to master this situation that we are currently all in. So if that, again, context, I start briefly with the context, just a few words about me that you know a bit what's my context, where I might have some expertise and where I might have a little bit less. So first of all, my background obviously is in economics, specializing on operations research and commercial information systems. I'm now in product as a product manager since 20 years already. And I started not at SAP. I started in a smaller company, a startup, where I was reporting to founders. I have this experience growing from 40 people to 300. And then already now, almost 14 years ago, I joined SAP. And there I had several positions, and which is in CRM, so customer relationship management, but also I worked for short duration in the IT, in SAP IT, working on product management for internal products to give you a different flavor. And now I'm, since last year, in the position as the head of product for our S4HANA quote to cash and service products. S4HANA being our ERP product, SAP our flagship product. You heard about PMF, what we do. I'm part of the European board there, and especially the Trends and Benchmark report coming out next week, or actually 2 weeks. Have a look. I can only recommend it. I had lots of fun in looking at all the data from more than 2,000 product managers who responded to the survey. Have a look. It's for free, and I think you will find some valuable nuggets in there as well. And besides that, I also worked on my own little methodology how to do holistic product management, and I have a glimpse on that today, but only a glimpse. So if you're interested, look at PYPR.works. That's it already on me. So actually, what's our real context these days? The real context is we are living in the perfect storm. We are living in a perfect storm in our world, and this perfect storm is the perfect storm of imbalance. So as we all know, change is the new normal, but honestly, I have said the same before COVID-19. COVID-19, in my view, the situation across the world actually is an accelerator. It's a catalyst for very, very much of the trends that were already there. But plus, it also adds a lot to the people itself. And I will talk about it also in a second. So it's also a perfect storm of imbalance, because at the same time, we see that there is way more risks, and currently we focus a lot on the risks, but there's also endless opportunities out there. I'm really totally convinced that, yes, we are currently in a kind of a depression in certain areas, and certain areas could be geography or industry segments. However, it's also there's opportunities, and at the end, it's a situation we are in, which means there will be something after this situation. So the world is VUCA and hyper-competitive. So VUCA, I guess you know the term, so volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And my key message here really is the context we are living in is very much, as I said, many of these trends we have seen before. For some of them, we try to ignore, or they were rather small. And others we already were considering in our plans, in our developments. But it's just at the end a situation that we have to analyze. And being in product, we are normally used to analyze, and I come back to this again as well. So one way of analyzing the current situation is that we look at two axes, very classic, and one is what's the extent of the business model disruption? What does COVID-19 do for our products, for our industries, for our consumers, for our buyers? So what is there actually a business model disruption? And yes, to which extent? And the other dimension that we have to analyze and think about is what's the depth and the length of the industry demand disruption? And again, looking at SAP, and you might know, we serve mostly all industries. So there's still some segments we don't, but normally we claim we have products, we have solutions for 25 industries, and in there, basically for everything. And as we analyze the situation for us, it's obviously completely different whether you look into travel industry or airline, or if you look into pharmaceuticals or retail. It's actually a different thing, and therefore you have to analyze your specific situation. And again, maybe not to this extent, but this is nothing new for us in product, right? We analyze the situation always. New competitors, new technology trends, new consumer demand shifts and so on. Just now, it's all very compromised, and there's also personal impact to every one of us. So the next context is, and that's, I thought about it, do I go into there, but as product management and the term product manager is used in the industry very wildly and widely, I thought at least I would like to share the context, what's my view on the role of product managers and product management. And I would like to start with two quotes. One is from Gartner, recently, end of last year, who basically stated, a capable product management discipline is the most efficient way to improve product success odds and drive sustainable growth. And I still think this quote is very, very relevant. And the second one is more the role of a product manager. And I guess you all know Marty Kagan, who wrote also his really nice book, Inspired. I can already recommend it to read it. And he stated there, basically, behind every great product, you will find a good product manager. We have yet to see an exception to this rule. And I actually looked into it, and he stated this the first time already 2005. So for me, this is already two very basic statements of what we're actually doing, what we're doing in product. And now, as a product manager, for me, the product, in my metaphor, is always like little, I used to say a baby, but actually it's not a baby. It's, for me, a little tree, a sapling that we have to work on. And as product managers, we do work on vision, strategy, customer feedback, requirements management, backlog, everything you know. And we do that to help our product, our tree, to grow. And obviously, alone, we cannot do that. Therefore, there's the product team with the right mindset. And we have to help the team that they have the right mindset, the product mindset, to make this tree a nicer tree that grows and at the end is successful. Very basic view on what I think is the role of the product manager. So the hard skills, as stated here, certain things you have to do. I have to deliver as a product management function, part of your responsibility. And I know sometimes people have different names, different roles. And at SAP, we have actually, if you talk to 5 product managers who have the title product manager, you might actually find people who do completely different things. But they're all somehow in this space, sometimes just very specialized. So next part there is software product organizations. And again, we are in the context phase. Software product management, software product organizations, sorry. The mission of most product organizations I know is to find and to build and sustainably grow the right product. So product organizations, normally there is the delivery or engineering unit, and there is the business or sales and marketing unit, and product management, as we all know, is somewhere in the middle. And we would like to deliver value to the market and capture value back. And the market frequently is segmented in different groups. So what makes a product right? As we stated, we want to find, build, and sustainably grow the right product. So delivering high value to this defined and sizable market that makes a right product, and helping capturing lots of value back, for example, revenue. Very basic definition, just again, for the context, because it's important, especially now in this situation, that we look into this. There's 2 parts in it, right? One part is the defined sizable market and the market segments that we have to analyze. And the other part is, how do we capture value back to run our business? And out of this context, we have to analyze holistically this situation for our products. What does this mean? So first of all, we have to analyze, does the market problem that we solve with our product, or the market problems, does this change, or is it still the same? And that's a very fundamental analysis. Is there still the same problem in the market currently, and thinking backwards, what I shared at the beginning, how long will, if the problem is not there, how long will it not be there? Think about travel industry, which probably is one of the most impacted, or airlines. Currently, obviously, the market problem to get fast from here to there or to have a nice vacation is not that big anymore because you're not allowed to travel anyway. However, now you have to deal with, do I stick with it? Because I can predict it will go away and people want to travel again. And do I have then the right, do I still serve the right problem, or is there a bigger trend that will change? And then the other hand side is, will the willingness or the ability to pay for your service, for your product change? These are the two most basic questions you have to ask, given what product organizations are all about. Capture value, deliver value. So the issue now is obviously, we never had a pandemic, at least not in this scale, and at least not for people still living today, most of us. So this means we have very limited experience and also very limited data. It's always good to look at data. It's always good to have some experience. And let's go back again to the analysis I shared from the beginning. Now, this actually is from McKinsey as a guideline to how to get to the next stage after the coronavirus crisis. And what you see here again is, if there is, they actually say hardly no one is in this nice sweet spot, which is on this side, where there's no impact on the business model and there is no disruption in the industry demand. Most companies, most people, most product teams will find themselves somewhere here in these four areas. Either there is a likely only situation and the demand disruption will go away over time, but the business model changes dramatically. Then you have to think about, what can we do to shift and to adapt our business model? Or there's the other area here where the business model will be the same or similar. However, the demand disruption will be much longer than expected. It's much deeper and as well. So there is then you have obviously to think about what to do and how to restructure and what you do with your products. And if both hits you, then McKinsey would say, then you seriously have to think about shaping even a new business, because if there is no market anymore for a very long time, and even your business model is not there anymore, then you have to seriously consider pivoting even the whole business. And then I think many companies and products will end up in this area here. That yes, the situation, we have to look into it, we have to analyze it, as I stated before, analyze changes in the problems we solve, changes in the value we deliver, and also changes in the willingness or ability to pay for this. And then make the right tactical decisions on how can we actually overcome this situation. And again, this is one kind where you need to collect data and get data. And I also put in this one, which likely you have seen before. Unfortunately, many of us look at this constantly. And I'm just trying to say with that, there is data out there. And depending on your product, on your business, you can even go down to not just countries, but all different kinds of areas or dimensions, and analyze and try to get data and proof points or help in data to analyze the situation and the extent of disruption and the depth of and length of the disruption for your product and for your business. I try to also come up with some notes, further notes, how we, for example, are looking into it. So analyzing target markets, dimensions. So not every product is the same, and whether you deliver and sell to consumers or to businesses, or your customers, which are businesses, sell to consumers, it's all a different situation that has to be looked at and analyzed. If you have a product that is available globally, it's a different situation than if your product is very local. Obviously, the impact of where you are is different, and so on. Again, I touched already on travel versus pharma or online retail versus oil and gas. So it really depends on your target markets that you serve. Then, based on the analysis, based on data that you should actually do, and again, I guess we should be prepared, being in product, to do this frequently, analyze our markets and try to get data. Just now, it's all accelerated, and it's a global impact, not just a product isolated impact. But based on our analysis, we have to revisit the company, the product vision, but also the strategy. Likely there will be an impact on all our strategies and roadmaps. And we have to really revisit and also strategize and think about how can we best serve our customers? How can we best sustain our business? Which might be that we change our prices, that we even, as you might have seen, some parts, some companies out there just give away their product currently for free because adoption is more important than the revenue, as an example. So freemium models get also more prominent these days, I've seen. And as I touched before, revisit the problems that you solve and also revisit the value proposition. Maybe the value proposition for the same product changes currently because the situation is just very different for your customers. And I know this is very generic advice, but it's even more important to do it now. You should do this anyway, even if there is no coronavirus crisis. But now it's definitely worth to get again to this assessment, to revisit all of everything. Also revisit your team setup, the maturity of the team health, the agility, and the ability to work remotely. And there is a blog, again, from Marty Kaken that I referenced here. Have a look. I think it's really good advice for, especially on the team level. I didn't go into the team level because I said you can easily read up, but look into it, because also a very important point is this is not about we are all now in home office. This is not the point. For example, SAP, we were actually allowed for a very long time to work from home office, even before the crisis. But now there is no other option. You have to be at home. That's a different situation. And therefore, there might be different tactics required. So again, McKinsey, and I like this chart here as well to explain what I just said in another way. So first part is get a realistic view of your starting position. Do your baseline assessment. Where are you now? Where are you as a company? Where are you with your product? Where are you as a team? Where are you personally? And then, because it's uncertain, because there's so much uncertainty and new information about the situation, about the virus, about the development, is available every day, every hour. Therefore, you have to work with some scenarios and establish already like your broad direction of travel. I would call it vision and strategy. Determine the actions and the strategic moves that are robust enough, so that really the strategy. And the bullet point number 5 here, think about trigger points. So when actually when do you know that now this scenario actually is the most valid one? For example, if you look at certain, you could, for example, if you're more in the consumer business, there is obviously the metrics or KPIs like consumer confidence index. So this is obviously a good trigger point to look into this and look at this kind of data. Or it could be credit card business or transactions increasing. And there's lots of data available. And you have to find for your product, for your context, the right trigger points that fit to the scenarios that you develop. Again, my point here is nothing new being in product management, being in software products. Just now the shift is even deeper and maybe longer, and therefore we have to do this more frequently than we might have done it before. Another part I would like to change here is, yes, the base might change and the market segment might change and the willingness to pay for your product might change, but I'm still convinced that product success, what the requirements for product success are not fundamentally changing. Still, you need to work and deliver a great product, great in multiple ways, technology-wise, but also solving relevant problems for your target markets. And yes, product success is hard. We have to work hard to be successful on the right product success factors. And to make this also clear, product success in the short term is actually simpler, but long-lasting product success requires really mastering not just building a great product, it's actually mastering many dimensions all in parallel. So from the viability, selling the software, and the customer value on it, the development, obviously, yes, but also the go-to-market, product marketing, training, managing market and customer expectations, and with that also organizational maturity. All of that has to be worked on, that the products are successful over the long run. And still, the most important point for me, at least, is that everyone walks in the same direction. And so that everyone can walk in the same direction, it's important that we know where we want to be. Again, product vision and strategy. That is for me so important that this is clear to everyone. But as I say, everyone, I think the third time, who is everyone? And everyone actually in product is quite a lot of people. And this is not even a complete list, but there is internal product players, as I named them here, and external ones. And we have to actually analyze the impact of the situation of COVID-19 for all these people. We have to think about and have even more empathy than we might have had before about what's the impact on these people. And based on this, do the right actions, do the right communication. So it's super important to really think about not just the product and the feature and how can we really sell it and continue selling it. Do we have to pivot? It's also thinking about all the people, whether it's customers, whether it's your own people or partners or press or analysts or influencers. It doesn't matter. You know your context, you know who are the product players in your context. But think about how can you help them? What do they need now? Do you need to change with your product? And talking about your product as a whole, not just the code, not just the software, not just the service, with everything which belongs to the product. And then from that, you can also, you will find a lot of information if you analyze that properly. So empathy and clarity really is key at this point. So I stop now for a second and just checking whether there is already questions, because I cannot see the chat window, unfortunately. So is there questions already?
At this stage, no, Timo, we don't have any questions for now. So let's just continue. Guys, please, if you want to ask something, feel free to input your question. Okay, so what did we do so far? I talked about the context and I talked about analysis of everything. And now the next thing is, okay, if we have this context, if we have understood whether our context changes and where we are, and if we analyze the situation,
What can we do now? What are the right actions? And how can we use our capabilities that we have? We are, I guess, you're all in products already. And this means you all have a bag of tricks. And how can you use this now? I would like to start with this little picture here because for me, it's the key point. Your job is lead the product players. So as product managers, our role gets even more important in my view, because the world is VUCA, everything is changing. There is more risk, there's more opportunities, and we have to lead. In order to lead, we have to have clear vision. We have to work out with the team the right strategy based on whatever is available to us. These teams, as you know, this is simple. They have a clear goal. They all can. They don't need a leader. They have the ball. It will lead them to do the right thing. Have fun. However, in product, even before, the situation is more like this. And there's always something more. And actually, no, there is even more stuff going on. This is more the normal product situation. But now these balls even change. So if we now do not do our job, then the team will just have lots of uncertainty, and the product definitely will have an impact on the negative side. So we have to lead. We have to help the team. We have to help all product players. We touched on this, or I touched on this before, so really holistically looking at the product success factors and doing the assessment there. And in my teams, we actually do this anyway, in a certain cadence, every 8 to 12 weeks, depending on the product. But now it's time to do it again and have an impact, as I stated before. I know I repeat myself, but it's just so important. Do now see how this situation has an impact on all these dimensions. And behind these dimensions, obviously, there's way more details. Whether it's about the pipeline, it's about the profitability of the product, whether it's about if you have something like this, like we have in B2B products, normally there is a consulting professional service part, which is now all remote. So what's the impact there? What can we do as product people? And basically do an assessment, have an analysis on all these aspects. Or if you look at the organization maturity, do we have still the right processes? Do our processes work if no one is in the office, if no one can travel to the customers? And if not, this can impact the success of the product. So for me, it's obviously a product success factor. Analyzing all of this is essential now. In a second, I show you a tool how to do it, and how we come over it. Another part, useful soft and hard skills in the situation. Actually, I just changed the headline, obviously, because this is one of the results of last year's product management trends and benchmark report from PMF. And these were the named most useful skills as a product manager. My point here is you have the skills, they are there. You might need to work on some because no one has everything, but as a team, you have to do this, and you have the skills, and take the situation. For some products, it is a bit simpler, others are more impacted, as we discussed at the beginning. Key point here for me as well is communication. And there's so many different ways to communicate. And also, again, we communicate a lot. Our product vision, our strategy, our roadmap is ways of communication. We have team communication, we have stand-ups, we have whatever. There's so many ways of communication. Therefore, I wanted to emphasize today, that we have to understand and use communication even better these days. One first statement from my side would be, you cannot over-communicate. And this is a statement that is anyway true, but in these times it's even more true, because data is more fluent, things change more frequently and fast, and the impact is much bigger. Therefore, we have to change, we have to take the product players, the teams with us. And as we do the analysis, as we take the actions, as we adapt to the current situation, this might be also super fast in some areas. And again, we have to keep in mind that just because it's in our heads, because it's in our core team, the others will not know it. There is no coffee corner conversation. There is only lots of indirect and remote communication. So looking at communication on its own, so understanding communication, there's certain circles, and so there is one, what can we actually communicate? So we can communicate what we know, what we think. This is what we communicate normally. And so out of the whole area that we know and that we think about, that we only communicate a subsegment of it. And from whatever we communicate via, as said, emails, calls, video conferences, team meetings, roadmaps, and so on, people understand even less. And what I communicate to you today, and what you understand, and what you remember tomorrow, will be even less. And this is just normal. This is just whatever we do, think about this model a bit. Therefore, you have to communicate. You have to do it again. Because there is a nice quote, and I don't know the source actually, but I like the quote, that if you start worrying yourself, that normally is the time when people understand and remember what you say. So think about that. I think it's an important piece for your bag of tricks, especially in these days. Please communicate with your teams, with your customers. Because only then people understand where you are in your thought process, where you are in your direction. Now, next part of the bag of tricks section is, and I know you likely have seen that, nothing new, business model canvas, lean canvas. I would like to ask you actually, how many of you use this? How many of you have a business model canvas or something alike for your product? This would be super interesting to me. And my point here is, if the problem changes, you might need to go back to T0, so to the first day of your product, analyzing, taking a lean canvas approach or lean startup or any other approach that starts analyzing target customer segments, problems, and what's your value proposition. Again, based on your analysis, this should be part of your bag of tricks. Understanding whether there is still a problem worth solving, whether users want your product, or if this all is passed, how you actually could grow your products faster. I think there was a question. There was someone raised their hand.
No, the hand disappeared.
No.
So
Another hand.
have a hand. We have a hand.
Okay.
Annie, I will
Sure.
unmute
Go ahead.
Natalia. Okay, Natalia, you may speak now.
That's fine. If not, you can also have the time at the end.
Okay.
Or you can also connect with us in other ways. So as said, just where we started, maybe we have to go, depending on your context, back to T0. I have here the same again, the lean canvas you might know, or the business model canvas. I'm sure you know it, but it just emphasizes the same again, looking at how we create value, how we deliver value, how we capture value. And if there's any change there, it's a good way and a structured way to just analyze your situation and do the right activity out of that. With that, I'm going to what I call PYPRO, which is the holistic way of managing the products that I basically came up with over the last 20 years, and I shaped it, and I still shape it today. And it's a very basic approach in terms of you first have to understand and structure the product success factors that I touched on before, this little sunburst chart, this little circle with the 6 dimensions and the 31 items in there. And again, as a team, you should revisit this and see whether there is new success factors nowadays, or whether it's still the same, which seems to be the case, at least for my products currently. And then we have to clarify the roles and also define the responsibilities. Normally, this is all there because you are already in a product organization. Again, looking at all the product players, and the situation and the context might change. Have a look. Can people actually do their role? Can they come up with their responsibilities? If they have to do homeschooling today, if their kids are at home, is it possible? How can you help each other? It's just a good way to look at everything that is required for successful products over time, and whether you still, as a team, as an organization, can really deal with it. And as I stated, then rate all of this. Rate your product. Assess your product in a structured way along these dimensions and these items, and then analyze. Analyze where you might have a limiting factor for success, where you might have changes, where you might miss data, and really structurally work on your products along this holistic approach. I can only really recommend that this is the holistic picture. The more you know, the better you can react to the situation. And obviously as well, iterate. Don't do this just once and then forever. Like if the business model canvas, I know some teams that did it once at the beginning and then they forgot about it, but keep these tools close to you. Update them, not every day, but maybe every quarter, maybe every 8 weeks. And especially on the holistic assessment of your product on PYPR, you might do this now even more frequently, depending whether your product context changes. So PYPR, as I said, the holistic view is for product managers, but also for product teams and for manager of product teams to see, which is in my case important to see, but what's the same pattern across my teams, across the products, and how can we actually work and identify these patterns and have impact for more people at once. I touched on that before, so we define the success factors. We also see whether they still have the same weight as before, and we build like best practice or proven practices to deal with success factors. We bring the whole team together. It's not, let's say the whole team, it's not only product managers and owners and developers and architects and designers. Actually, it's everyone who has impact on the product. Could also be sales, services teams, everyone involved. And then on that, we do normally quarterly, currently a bit more frequently, rate all the success factors. And we concentrate on the ones who need the most improvement, the most limiting factors of the success. And we create tasks, obviously, very standard, and try to fix this until the next assessment. And then we have bi-weekly or weekly check-ins and discuss the progress. No rocket science, but a very pragmatic approach that we do for a long time. But even especially these days, we see that this way of holistic assessment and focused approach helps us to deal with the situation, because we are used to look at many dimensions at the same time and work together as a holistic product team. With that, I want to thank you for your time already, and that you actually take the time in your evening. And I know it's hard, and I know listening to now, I don't know how many, 45 minutes is hard. So thanks that you actually joined and you care about product. And so my key takeaways are really take a holistic approach and take the time with that to understand your starting position. And analyze, monitor and analyze the external impact on your starting position, which is not in your control, but also analyze the internal impact, which is in your control. Maybe use PYPR if you're interested, or any other thing that helps you to holistically understand where you are with your product. What's your starting position? And I said, act on uncertainty, try to get data if possible, work with assumptions and scenarios, work on the weaknesses even more. So analyze and act and monitor and analyze again. And holistic approach includes not just the product, it includes, again, your context, the people, product players, everyone, and shorter intervals really help. Second part is leverage and adapt your bag of tricks.
Thank you so much, Timo. So,
one more minute, please. Can you still hear me?
yep, we do. Sorry.
Okay.
My
Yeah,
mistake,
so
sorry.
no worries. So the leverage and adapt your bag of tricks. And you might need some more tricks these days, some more soft skills, some more hard skills. But remember, communication is key. Empathy is key. So stay human and try to be the best product leader you can really be. It's especially now super important, and it will build lots of trust with the team if you're now showing your best. And last but not least, it's a bad situation, but it's only a situation. We will get through this. We will get over this. It will take a bit of time, but in a year from now, we will be in a better situation, and we have to find the right way for us, for our products, for our teams, for ourselves, for our families through this. And as said, it's only a situation, hard situation, but we'll get through this. With that, thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Anna. And if you have any questions, please.
That's what, yep, we have few questions. We have actually two questions which are uploaded here in the chat, and I just put them on few slides. Guys, if you would like to take a snap at Timo's information, and then I can just go back to the slides to see the questions which we have here in the chat, and if no further questions, to proceed to the questions which we received upon the registration. Okay, so Timo, we have few questions. The first two questions are from the chat here. How to measure value produced by the dev team after product rollout?
Well, that's a good question. Maybe a webinar on its own. So how do you measure value? It depends. So is it value for the customers? I guess it's value for the customers. And value for the customers, you could measure depending on your product, whether they save time using your product. Yeah, is your customers more sufficient? Do you deliver automation they had not before? Do they sell more? So it really depends on the product, but you need to normally find a few, very few, I would say maybe even one KPI that where you can measure the value. And for internally measuring the values still depends on if you're in SAP. Obviously, profitability of your product is important. But as I said, if it's about what you produce, what you deliver, the value to deliver, the outcomes to deliver to your customers, it's really about how much do you help solving the problem of your customers. And normally, depending on the problem, there is a measure that you can use as a proxy. And if you don't know, talk to your customers, ask them.
Okay, we have one more question, which is from today. By the way, if any further questions, Vivek, please add them to the chat, or you know, just raise hand if you would like to be unmuted and ask further. So the next question is how to conduct the observations remotely, challenges in remote stakeholders management, remote collaboration with dev teams.
Yeah. So this one is actually an interesting one. For example, last years of working at SAP, most of my work was remote before, meaning my development teams were not always in Germany or in Waldorf, as an example. I had development teams in the US, in India, in Shanghai, so across the globe. So there is already remote work. My observation is, if you have been in the situation before, the shift is less, there's not that much of an impact. Also, remote collaboration with customers. We have, in the last few weeks, we had actually lots of workshops with customers. And because we are all in the same situation, the willingness and the empathy there is much higher. So how to conduct, I would say there is already great tools out there. If the normal ones you hear these days is Mural or Miro, or can you Zoom for the meetings, obviously, and breakouts. So there is good tools, or Microsoft Teams, there is good tools there. But again, the key point why I put it into the presentation today is communication. Don't expect, because you don't see frequently others. I don't see you currently. I don't see whether you like or not what I said today, whether you agree or not. Therefore, you have to ask and you have to communicate a lot. That would be my advice here.
Okay, thank you. We move to the next one then. How COVID-19 have changed the customer needs expectations in SAP products?
Yeah, good question, not easy answer. Especially, as I said before, SAP serves 25 industries. And the expectations in our retail e-commerce is more about, please, no outages, no change as before. The expectations and needs in our travel entertainment business unit is obviously completely different. And to try really, again, to talk to our customers and have empathy, whether it's on the business model, on subscription fees, on many different things. And a trend that we see is, or observation that we have across the industries, across our products is, if there has been a trend before, it actually accelerated. And what we also see is cloud software. We still have also on-premise software at SAP, which is still a significant part of our business. But cloud software is a clear, even more accelerated demand. So that's another shift. But yes, we see impact. On the other hand side, you might have seen SAP's financial forecast. We only changed so far our financial outlook by -5%, which might be too optimistic. However, this is that you see we see an impact on our products and on the needs, but it's not significant currently. And as I said, we analyze the context of our products continuously, try to get as much data, try to talk to the customers, to the markets as much as possible, and understand the needs and expectations. And another last word on this one, it's very flexible, just to reiterate. You need to even more frequently analyze the situation. If you just look at Germany, 4 weeks ago is totally different, and 8 weeks ago is totally different than today. And I know in 4 weeks it will be again a different situation. Just there is so much change in how we understand the crisis, how we understand this virus, how we understand our role. Therefore, be open and try to get as much information and think about how this actually impacts your product.
Okay, thank you very much. We move to the next, prioritizing features during pandemic. How to get feedback from clients about new features, how to keep team motivated.
Yeah. So the prioritization of features depends always on the approach. So we use very frequently like a priority matrix with weighted dimensions, and you might consider to change the weights of some dimensions, or even add something in addition, like how can we provide faster value and not only in 9 months or 6 months. It really depends on the product, in my view. The how to get feedback from clients. Again, it goes the same way, like doing remote meetings efficiently and increase your bag of tricks how to do remote meetings. It's possible. We do it. As said, you can use Mural, you can have a one whiteboard, and clients are open to it. And even in the past, but if it's not a usability lab, where you do observation of a user in front of a screen, and even there we try currently at SAP how we can deal with this. Even in the past, we had lots of situations where we had not face-to-face meetings with our clients because it would just be too much travel across the globe. So it is like before, in my view, getting feedback from clients is super important, most important on new features, even on existing features, how they use it, if they're now changing demands. But get used to the right tools and earn the skills, and there's good public information out there how to handle effective remote meetings with the right tools, and use the video camera. It also helps. How to keep the team motivated. Yeah, that's
all right.
important because you don't see them too frequently. Have even more meetings with the team, not too long ones, and don't only focus on work. Have a coffee, have a virtual coffee. I've learned from another team, from a peer from mine, they actually do a walk. They actually go out and walk and have FaceTime on.
Because you're allowed to.
Yes, exactly. Currently, yes. Now we're allowed to, but yeah. And if you're allowed to do it, as I said, what we do in our teams, we have actually virtual meetings. So where we do whatever. We talk about the world, not the pandemic, not about business, but whatever. Now again about football, whatever, because we play again. Do what you did before in the coffee corner or wherever, and just it's unfortunately not possible in person. And just also another information for you, SAP, we likely will stay and work from home for the rest of the year.
Whoa.
And the same, but there were news out that Facebook had the same and Google has the same. Yes, we might open up the offices, but we are still asking everyone, if possible, work from home.
Okay. We for now don't have such statements, but it's very much possible that our quarantine work from home policy will also be extended. So we'll see how.
I just want to add.
And by the way,
yeah, no, go ahead. Sorry.
I read that Twitter are actually giving up their office space at all. That they intend to kind of continue this work from home policy for a longer period.
Same there. Yes, exactly. So it will be possible, but as I said, SAP we had already for some years very relaxed home office policy. Therefore, it's just now it's not home office. It's you stay at home and the family is at home as well, and you're not allowed to go to a conference, to the customer, to the office, which is a different situation. And keeping the team motivated is, again, show empathy, And if there's successes, celebrate the successes as before, just all remotely.
Okay, Timo, we have 3 more questions here in the Q&A section in the chat. I will ask them first, and then we will return back to those which were preliminary sent to us. Do businesses need pivot if they are working on MVP, considering COVID-19 has impacted segmented customers?
That's a, what should I say? I would need to know your business a bit better to give you my view. For me, it goes back to the slide before from McKinsey. So what do you know? Do you think it will be a temporary impact? And can you cope with it? Or will it be an impact that will stay? And if your market segment disappears for a very long time, then likely you should pivot. But again, I can really not judge your context. It's really more about analyzing and thinking about, is the impact just now or for the next 6 months or for the next 12 months, and can you deal with this? And then you will find your answer whether you have to pivot or not.
All right, the next question is, how can you improve and train your communication skills?
Well, I guess, so there is trainings available, even online trainings. If you look at LinkedIn Learning, for example, but just one of what I know that because we are allowed to use this at SAP, there is trainings, but at the end it's practice and ask for feedback. So communication skills, in my view, you get if you do it, do it more frequently, and ask for feedback. Check out the feedback. If you communicate and have always bad response, you might know that there is something wrong. So Peter, as I said, I think it's like with any soft skill. It's some of us have great communication skills since birth. Others can improve, but will never get perfect. But we can, at least we can try. And there is trainings for almost every soft skill out there. Find a good trainer. Find maybe a mentor, someone who you like, someone you think is a good communicator, and adapt the practices or ask for help.
Okay, the next one, and actually it's the last question in the Q&A section, says you have talked about holistic approaches regarding analyzing impacts because of COVID-19. My question is, which would be most important for the organization, understanding and measuring the internal impact, meaning people working for the organization, or the external impact, customers using the product?
My view is external. Clearly external, because at the end, what we do, what we build is for our customers, for our markets. And internal is the boundaries, it's the constraints, and that we have to look into as well. But the focus is on the outcomes that we deliver. It's on the value. We touched on this before, on the value we deliver to our customers. Because I'm strongly convinced if we build the right value for our customers, and even if the expectations and requirements change of the customers, we have to adapt as well with our value delivery. This is most important. The rest will follow. I'm sure there's other people who would say something more on internal, but I'm strongly convinced that the outside view is more important. At the end, looking at both helps as well.
Okay. Then we have the future of product management. What areas will be affected by the crisis? How to adapt to the new circumstances? I believe we already covered plenty on this topic. So
okay,
I will
some of
just
that are touched in the last 40 minutes.
Yeah. Pivoting the thing, your business changing your day-to-day work processes.
Yeah, as I said, it really depends. It really depends on analyzing the situation, willingness to pay, ability to pay, different problem, new problem. or jobs to be done. Some of you know also this this approach. Is this still the same jobs to be done, or is there new ones? Better understanding, and then you can decide whether you have to change or not. But do not just change because you think others change. Maybe you still have a really valuable product today for your customers. And also, everyone talks about travel and airlines, but there is lots of news that there is talks about there is travel again, even in summer, maybe a bit of a different way of travel, but there is travel. And yes, there is flights. I got an email from Lufthansa doing some advertisement here stating, get ready for your next flight today. So, and I know there is no one flying today, but the economies are preparing and in segments are preparing. So don't pivot just without proper analysis.
All right, and our last question, insight ideas, best practices.
Yes, what's the question?
That's a good one. Well, this is how, I don't know if the author of this question is actually participating in the event, because those questions were given to us upon registration. If actually the person who submitted it is here, maybe to clarify, maybe some best practices on collecting insights and ideas.
So I said,
okay, nobody is raising hand, so I guess that we will omit this one. All right, then this was actually our last question for today. Less chances for you to raise a hand, write something. We have few more minutes. No. Okay, guys, thank you very much for the participation. I hope that the session was useful for you. Timo, thank you very much for agreeing to support us, to sharing your experience and knowledge to Sofia and to the international community, actually, because we are in a much wider range today. Hopefully, guys, we'll see you on our next events. Once again, in case you're interested in having a speaker on our events, PMNights, please contact me, get in touch. We'll do our best to do it the way that it's most convenient for you and your organization.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks to the team. That's very nice to talk to
you.
you. Maybe sometimes in person.
Okay. Thank you, Jarko. Do you have to add something?
I just want to thank you, Tim, once again for the great presentation. And friends, you will receive the follow-up letter on your emails you entered upon registration with the presentation. Also on Friday, we will publish on YouTube the video of this webinar. So anytime you will see it fits you, you may just watch it. And afterwards, we will have a text version so you can also read it. Thank you very much. Product Management Community welcomes you all to like our pages on Facebook and LinkedIn. And the next event we'll have on May 28th. PMNight Wrocław, first one ever in Poland. So yeah, you may enjoy. The speech will be about the cultural differences and how to manage them in remote teams, especially right now when you only have the online connection. Have a great day, have a great evening, and yeah, once again, thank you all for joining us today, and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.